today. Good morning to you. Welcome to another week of the Art Lewis Show, although for me it's a day of the Art Lewis Show because I'm gone after this for a while. We'll tell you about that later on. And we are on the road today. We are on the road to Reimold Printing, which is on Cardinal Drive behind Anderson Eye on Tittabawassee Road. We've come here because they are the source of our Food for Families brochure, and Food for Families campaign for the 40th year gets underway next week. So we've come to promote it today. Lots going on after the 10 o'clock news. We'll talk to State Representative Amos O'Neill, and then we'll also have a little time to talk to Mike White, who is the CEO of Reimold Printing. But for this hour, I am pleased to welcome back for another program someone who I've been asked about as to when she's going to return, and she is elder law attorney Carol Thomas. Good morning.
Good morning, Art.
She's got a voice, friends. You should have heard her on Friday.
I wasn't sure I'd be doing the show, but it's back. The voice is back.
It's good. I'm glad to hear it. Carol, of course, is an elder law attorney and wills, trusts, and all those good things. As a matter of fact, let's start there. Rather than me asking what's new, I'll get to that. Describe an elder law attorney.
And I was all prepared for that first question.
I know.
You really threw me, Art. What is an elder law attorney? An elder law attorney is a sub-part of estate planning. Estate planning is typically when a lawyer deals with what happens on the day that you die. You know, how does my home, how does my dog, where do things go when I die? So that's estate planning. Elder law is the part of estate planning that deals with incapacity issues. What if there is an incapacity issue before you die? Are you prepared with the correct powers of attorney, allowing people to make decisions for you, both financially and medically, and also being prepared in case you need nursing home, which is extremely costly, and we can help protect assets so people don't have to pay out of pocket.
Is Michigan unique in that regard, or do other states do the same thing?
Other states do the same thing with the Medicaid program. They're different rules, but we all kind of are based on some federal guidelines.
Because the federal guidelines here, okay. Mm-hmm. So what's new in elder law?
Driving in, I came up with a great answer.
Okay.
Nothing, which is
Whoa, and we haven't done this in a while.
Right, but this is a wonderful thing because the number one question I'm asked every day is when they're talking about cutting Medicaid, is that going to affect what we do as far as protecting assets if someone's in a nursing home? Because we get them eligible for Medicaid even if they have assets. So
anticipated my next question, so go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asked. And so what's new is nothing, because the cuts that the administration is talking about is Medicaid, the health insurance, but not the Medicaid for nursing homes.
Now, just out of curiosity, does this government shutdown have any impact on?
No, to us, not at this point, because it's actually the state Medicaid funds that are paying nursing homes.
Yeah. Question is, are they getting those funds?
Exactly. So $64 million question.
Another story.
Yeah.
Let me also mention that if you have any questions about elder law, about wills, trusts, the like, you can give us a call, 989-752-6111, and talk to Carol. And she will give you as much advice as is legally possible, because remember, we're talking about your personal things here. But if you have any questions that need further delving, it would pay to set up an appointment with her, which we'll tell you about later on. And also she has some seminars coming up that we'll tell you about too as we go on throughout the morning. So define the difference between a will, a trust, a revocable trust, an irrevocable trust. What are all these things?
Art, I only have an hour. But I'll do the best I can. Let's start with the will and the trust. That's very simple to differentiate. A will only works after you die. And so the purpose of a will is, where do I want things to go? If I'm younger and I have minor children, who would I want to raise my minor children? So a will only works after you die. So I'm a great proponent of trusts. As people get over the age of 50, if they have a home, and I want to say that's different. If you don't own a home, you may not need a trust. But if you own a home and you're over the age of 50, I highly encourage people to think about getting a trust, because for married couples, if their home is in a trust and one of them goes in a nursing home, we often can have them eligible for Medicaid within the next 10 minutes. It's phenomenal. But so many lawyers out there, I'm switching over to deeds right away, Art, but so many lawyers do these ladybird deeds where a lawyer will say that, I, Carol Thomas, when I die, right on the deed it says it goes to my children. Well, that way my home isn't in a trust, and for married couples, the home in the trust is where we can get the assets protected. So it's extremely important.
The deed does nothing to protect assets.
Not at all. No, and you're actually setting...
And explain why those assets are at jeopardy.
Because if you go into a nursing home, Medicaid has some very strict rules as far as they will pay, but after you've done a lot of things with your assets, primarily spend it all on the nursing home, unless you've seen an elder law attorney that can get things taken care of so that you don't have to do that.
So in other words, once you spend your money, then Medicaid will kick in.
And yes, and that's what happens for the majority of people that aren't prepared with the right documents.
Otherwise, they'll come after your assets.
Well, people always say they come after your assets. It's not that. They just won't pay the nursing home. So the nursing home...
okay. So one way or another.
One way or the other, someone comes, and it's probably the nursing home. And some nursing homes in the area, Art, are now $15,000 a month.
Yeah, I've heard about that. That's just unbelievable.
Quite a few of them are $15,000. I just had someone up from the southern part of the state, and their nursing home was $18,000 a month. So it's just getting out of control.
And at what point can you no longer write a trust for someone?
When their competency level is to the point where we don't feel they know what they're signing, then we cannot do it.
And that's a determination made by whom?
It can be made by the attorney. There's a lot of misunderstanding out there. I have a lot of clients that come to me and say the physician has said their husband is no longer mentally competent. He has maybe some beginning of dementia. Even if a physician has said that someone has dementia and is not capable of making decisions, if the attorney feels at that moment when the attorney meets with the husband, he is aware of what's going on, we call it a lucid moment,
right,
then the attorney can go ahead and write the documents. I have people all the time, they come to see me, they're desperate, and we say, if your husband has a good day, this is the husband still home or the wife still home, call us, come in a half an hour, and hopefully we can get the documents signed. If we can get the documents signed, then we're good to go and we can protect assets. If we cannot, then we have to go to the local probate court. Now you're at the hands of a probate judge, whether or not that judge will allow us to get assets protected. Some of the judges around here are wonderful. There are other judges, other counties, where I don't even bother going to court anymore because I know the judge will decline.
So it pays to do this before you need it, obviously.
Absolutely.
That's the key, isn't it?
That is the key.
All right. We're going to take a break. And again, if you have any questions about elder law, give us a call, 989-752-6111. We'll be back with elder law attorney Carol Thomas as we broadcast at Reimold Printing after these notes.
At Saginaw Township Community.
Hi, we're back with you, broadcasting from Reimold Printing in Saginaw. More on that later on. We're talking to elder law attorney Carol Thomas. If you have any questions about elder law, you can give us a call, 989-752-6111. You know I'm going to get to this because we ask it every time. We talk about it every time. Why don't you put your kids on the deed? I own a house. I want my son to have it, my daughter to have it. I'm going to share it with them. What did I do wrong?
A lot of things, Art.
I was afraid of that.
Number one, you never, ever, ever want to add a child's name on a deed.
That's pretty conclusive.
Yes. Was that enough evers?
That's enough.
Because if you go into a nursing home within 5 years, that's considered a gift. And there's a penalty in the state of Michigan if someone going into a nursing home and they want to apply for Medicaid if they've given anything away in the last 5 years. But there are also issues by adding a child's name onto a deed. What if that child needs nursing home care? And I've had that happen as people are getting older. Their children are in their 70s and they need long-term care. So here mom is 95 years old and suddenly her home becomes an available asset because the son is in a nursing home. So there's just never a good reason. Absolutely, the home should go into a revocable trust. And revocable, before you ask me, revocable and irrevocable. And just basically, an irrevocable trust cannot be changed. It does have its purpose, but what I'm talking about this morning is basically setting up a revocable trust. You can revoke it, you can change it, and Art, they're so easy to set up. And the protection is amazing. I had someone the other day, and he sat there, he's signing, and he said he just felt so good. And he said, why doesn't everybody do this? I said, I don't know. I think it's a lack of knowledge, or they Google it, and Google gives an entirely different interpretation than what I do.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like to think about the end.
That's true, too.
You know, and that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about what happens if I can't anymore, and I don't want to admit that I can't. You know, and that's, you know, and we all have this feeling of invincibility. You know, it won't happen to me. Guess what? It happens to everybody.
It does, and as lawyers, we're not supposed to guarantee anything, but that's
well, that you can guarantee that.
They're going to use my documents.
You can't guarantee when, but you can guarantee they'll be used.
I also think that some people think it's almost a jinx, that if I go and take care of my estate planning.
That's another side of it.
Yeah, God is watching down, and now they're all set, so it's their time.
So what are some of the other don'ts? We don't put the kids on our deeds. What shouldn't we do besides that?
Well, if you're over 50, you shouldn't just have a will. If you have a home, you should have a trust.
Why do you keep going back to the home? Because it's real property that's in jeopardy? Is that the...
It's because in Michigan, and this is unique to this state, if the home is in a trust for a married couple, for many married couples, we can get all their assets protected right away.
See, this is my question. I understand once the home is in the trust, but my banking account is not in the trust.
Right.
How can you protect my money outside of the trust when the only thing in the trust is the home?
It's like a calculus formula.
Oh, good. I remember those days.
Yes, it actually has to do with the home being in the trust becomes a countable asset. Therefore, it protects the monetary assets. I would actually need a board to draw it out for you. But I just have to say, trust me, I'm a lawyer.
Trust.
Yeah.
Trust my trust.
Trust me. With the home being in the trust for married couples, for a majority of them, their assets automatically are protected. There's also language in the trust that helps us get assets protected, and there's language in the financial power of attorney that is crucial to get assets protected.
And there is the other thing that we hear from people when they hear about this, and they look at it with a jaundiced eye because they want to know if there's an upper limit. Do the wealthy qualify for this too? And the reality is everybody qualifies for it, right?
Everybody.
There is no cap on how much you can have, right?
I could get President Trump on Medicaid.
We're not going to go there.
No. It would take 5 years. For the super wealthy, it takes 5 years. But also...
Oh, it does? Okay.
There's a difference, and it's hard to say what
number
it is.
Well, no, that's good to know, though.
Yeah, I mean, there is a limit.
Okay.
I mean, if someone comes to me and they have $5 million and they want to get on Medicaid...
Yeah, that's not going to
I don't
happen.
do it.
Right.
Because I tell them the interest alone is going to be paying for the nursing home. So there definitely is a limit,
Yeah.
and there's got to be common sense in this, too.
Thank you. There we go. We have Joe in Saginaw with us this morning. Joe, good morning. You are on with elder law attorney Carol Thomas.
Good morning, Carol, and good morning, Art. How are you,
Good
too?
morning. Very well, thanks.
Morning, Joe.
Hi. I wonder if you could address the issue of the responsibility of people involved in the estate. I've handled several estates for my family. I'm not an attorney. And one of them had several hundreds of thousands of dollars involved. And they had a trust, and the trust was drafted, and the deed were drafted by an attorney I think is a well-respected attorney and very competent. So I'm not saying anything's wrong there, but in a trust, the people did not update the trust as a changed property, and so we ended up in probate court because of some things that were not in the trust that should have been in the trust. And the woman that I spoke with in the courthouse told me that 50% of their probate cases were cases where they had a trust but didn't update it properly. The other thing that I ran into that I hope that you can address is that there's got to be some form of coordination between the trust and any will that's left. Because I had rules of distribution that were different in the trust than they were in the will. So I ended up, now fortunately I had family members, there was some dissension among them, but I got all of them to agree to one of the procedures in writing, and we were able to proceed then with a distribution that was fair to everybody.
Joe, let me interrupt, Joe. Let's take these one at a time. Let's go
Sure.
back to the first question of updating property changes, for example, in a trust.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. And again, I cannot address how other law offices handle it, but with our office, we make it extremely clear if you purchase any additional real estate, please bring it to our office. We want to add that to the trust. And we don't charge for it, but I say any real estate you own needs to be titled in the trust.
That avoids that
How about
second
personal,
one.
how
That
about personal
avoids-
property?
Pardon me?
Personal property like a car.
Well, I'm talking about real property, deeds, homes,
Deeded things, right?
deeded things. I'm not talking about personal property.
Would
Personal
that
property
trigger
is
the need to
secondary
go to
would-
probate?
I'm sorry.
Would that trigger the need to go to probate if they bought a new car or a recreational
No.
vehicle?
No, definitely not. Anything
that-
with
that
a
wouldn't
title.
trigger it?
Well, it depends.
I was waiting
Yes.
for
There we
that.
go.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I have to use that a lot. A title, if there are children, it can be done at the Secretary of State's office. If there are not children and they don't have the appropriate trust or will, then it does have to go to probate. I mean, there's that little kind of caveat that's a little bit different for everyone.
But for the most part, if,
the most
if you're
part-
just a couple and you buy a new car,
Right.
nobody else on the title.
No, there shouldn't be any issue at all if they're children, and it doesn't have to be in the trust, which I don't know if you were alluding to earlier that maybe that lawyer had them title assets in the trust, but it's hard for me to address this question because we do things differently in my office. We only put the real estate in the trust. We never title any money assets in the trust. So if that
It's
was
good
the
for your
issue,
customers to know. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, there were several hundreds of thousands of dollars in stocks alone in this particular.
Was it in the trust?
No, well, I don't remember now. It's been several years. I remember I was astounded to know that I had to go to probate. And then I was shocked by the fact that the distribution rules for the trust were different than the distribution rules for the will. And it
Oh, and I
created
did-
a real problem.
I wanted to address
We
that
had
again.
one
I
of
don't
the-
know.
Hang on, Joe. Hang on, Joe.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Carol.
Okay, because again, I can't address how other lawyers draft their documents. If we draft a trust, we make sure everything prior has been revoked. So you would never end up with that conflict of the will says this and the trust says this. When clients sign my trust and there's a will that goes along with it, it revokes all prior wills. So you should not run into this circumstance at all.
So let me
Well, there's a
clarify here. Let me
carryover
clarify
will,
here.
too.
Let me clarify something
Yeah.
here. Carol, if I understand what you're saying, when you create a trust, you create a new will inside that trust,
Yes, it's a separate
and that
document.
revokes everything before
Everything
it.
prior. So we
Okay.
don't run into this issue. But I'm not sure all lawyers do that. So it's hard
Okay.
for me to answer this question, Joe, because I don't know how it was drafted.
All right.
Yeah,
Joe?
the purpose of my call was really to have you address these issues because I'm not a lawyer and I can't say I
Yeah.
can only say what happened with me. But I will tell you that, and again, with my limited understanding, there was a will so there was a revocation of earlier wills, and there was a will that was included within the trust. And I forget the term is carryover to will or whatever the term is.
Pour over will.
Pour-over
Pour-over will.
So I think that the rules of distribution within the pour-over will were different than the rules of distribution in the trust. And one of the issues was one of the children was married. They were all adult children. One of them was married and died. In one document, the assets were then distributed to the remaining children. In the other document, the assets were to be distributed to the surviving spouse and the 3 children that the decedent had.
All right, Joe, I'll tell you what, Joe. I'm going to interrupt you because I got to take a break. I'm running late here. But when we come back,
sure.
I'll have Carol address that. All right?
Yeah, no,
Thanks
I'm
for
very
calling.
pleased. I just want to lay the issues there. Thank you.
Good.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for calling. Bye-bye. We'll be right back. Carol, remember that question
I've
about...
got it. I've already got the answer, too.
I figured that. We'll be back to get that answer. Let me talk about Quick Lane Freeland right next to McDonald Ford. You know, winter is coming. We live in Michigan, folks. Come on now. You know it's going to get icy and snowy, and one of the things that can make you safe are winter tires because they are different than the tires on your car that you use every day. And to tell us about it, here's John from Quick Lane Freeland.
Hello, Art. Yes, winter tires are made with a pliable rubber compound that includes silica to stay flexible and maintain grip in freezing temperatures. Unlike harder all-season tires, which stiffen and lose traction in the cold, this flexible compound allows the tire to better conform to the road surface, providing superior grip and traction on snow and ice to keep you safe.
Thanks, John. So stop out to Quick Lane Freeland at McDonald Ford and have your tires checked. Make sure they're good for the winter. Have your cooling system checked, too, while you're there. And also take a look at the new Ford lineup at McDonald Ford. McDonald Ford and Quick Lane Freeland, where tires only cost $5 over cost. All tires, $5 over cost at Quick Lane Freeland at McDonald Ford. Stop in. Visit them today.
Whether they're doughboys,
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW and patiently waiting for the answer. How do you put a will that conflicts with a trust in a trust?
And I've had a long time to prepare. So our pour-over will that goes with our trust, all it states is that if there's something that has to go into the trust, it follows the trust. The
So
will
the trust dictates like a will.
totally, exactly. The will doesn't have any distribution in it
Does
at
the
all.
trust dictate, or does the power of attorney?
The trust dictates where things go.
Okay.
That's the distribution.
All right.
But so the will, I can't answer for Joe how that will was written
Right.
because it really should have been written that it follows the trust so that you don't have
Okay.
this conflict.
Tony, I think it's Tony is in Saginaw. Yes, Tony, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. I would like to formulate a question. If I have no property whatsoever, no deed property, I only have amount of cash in the form of CD and savings, and this is my wife and myself, and if one of us were to go to a nursing home, what protection, if any, is there?
I love that question because there's still total protection for you or your wife, if one of you would go into a nursing home, we can save 100%. But the key, if you don't have the real estate, is to have a well-drafted financial power of attorney that allows us to do the methods that are necessary to protect everything that you have.
So there's some documentation
Oh,
needed.
absolutely. You need a power of attorney that's well written. My son is a lawyer in my office. He'll review other attorneys' trusts, and over 95% of the time he has to redo the power of attorney because general lawyers, they're wonderful. They probably know a lot more than I do, but they don't know what needs to be in the power of attorney to protect assets.
Along with that, then, is the medical power of attorney a companion document?
It's a separate document, but certainly everyone should have both. Absolutely.
One more quick part of the question. Each of us has Social Security, and my wife has a last to die retirement plan. Would that be protected or not really?
If you have the right power of attorney document, if one of you goes in a nursing home, we're able to get the income from the spouse in the nursing home to go to the spouse at home. And Art, that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
And so many people don't know you can do that. But I have to tell you that it's the importance of getting a well-drafted power of attorney, which I will be talking about in my upcoming seminars, Art.
Which we'll tell you about in a moment.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Tony?
It does, and I'll be calling your office soon. Thank you
All right,
very
Tony,
much.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, funny you mentioned that. So, first of all, if he's going to call your office, what kind of phone number did he use?
989-793-2300.
And your seminars?
Yes, I have them coming up in Saginaw on Thursday, November 13th. They're at the Horizons Conference Center. I love doing them at that facility. And I have sessions at 10, 12, and 5. However, 10 and 12 are just about full to capacity. So if you would want to come to 10 or 12, I'd want you to call today. 5 probably will be open for another week or so. So that's my next seminars, Art, and I love doing them. And they fill up even before I start talking about them in the media because people call my office almost daily. When is your next seminar?
So is it because of you and what you have to say, or is it the cookies?
Well, probably the cookies. I don't want to have that big of an ego. But I also know that when people come to me and I'm able to protect all their assets, they do tell all their friends, you better
Yeah.
go to Carol and get things taken care of. And people wonder, Art, how come I know how to draft the documents like this? We actually have 5 women that work in my Medicaid department. So we do so much of the nursing home protection that we know what needs to go into the documents.
And on top of that, your son is a certified elder law attorney, is he not?
He is only one of 18 in the state.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back again, 989-752-6111 if you have any questions for our elder law attorney.
We're proud to make possible.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW, broadcasting from Reimold Printing, and we'll tell you why in a little while, but it is the kickoff of our Food for Families campaign next Monday. We'll tell you more about it as we go on. We're talking to elder law attorney Carol Thomas. Susan is in Bay City, so we'll say good morning to Susan. You're on with Carol Thomas. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Art. Good morning, Carol. My
morning.
husband and I came into Carol when we were in our early 50s, and I'm 75 now, and we had a trust made, and recently we went in to update it. But the reason why I'm also calling is because my husband, in separate incidences, lost his brother died, and then his sister died, and then the mother died. And the brother and the sister had nothing, and as far as wills or trusts, and the brother had 2 children that were still living at home. And then the mother, when she passed, her will had the brother and the sister in there, which now weren't alive anymore. So my husband he was the executor to all 3, and he tried to take care of this, and he just threw his hands up after working on them about a month at a time. And he just went into Carol and her son, and they took care of everything for them for a real small or nomination and a fee as far as the work that was involved. And everything was done fast and efficient, and we just love Carol. So I want to tell people, not only for your trust, but if you're dealing and you're an executor and you're dealing with a ball of yarn, you need to take it into Carol or her son or her team
Yeah,
there
so
and have
she can
them
knit you a
unravel
sweater.
it for you. Yeah, absolutely. Because she took a mess and everything was so wonderfully done, and we just have all the confidence in the world in Carol. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this phone call. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude that you called in this morning. I appreciate it very, very much. We do love what we do in our office, and